All right. Good day, class. So, welcome to our first lesson for the coverage for the second exam in GE3, the contemporary world. So, I'll show you our part one PowerPoint slides. So, for the unit learning outcomes, one, or we will discuss the historical evolution of international politics. So, we have three unit learning outcomes on this second exam. Okay, for our first topic, we will know how does this history of the global politics creating an international order. So the world is made up of many countries or states, which all have different forms of the government, and then the several policy analysts are interested in individual states that are looking at these countries' internal politics. Just like, for example, in the United States of America, diba, they have 51 states that in every states they have different government or they have different um, policies. Um, uh, like for example, in the federalism, just like what our President Duterte want to be here in our Philippines, in our country, the Philippines, that there should be a separate government in the Luzon, in the Visayas, and also here in our um, locality in the Mindanao. Okay, sorry. A researchers researching in the Japan's politics, for instance, can write about its bureaucracy background. Instead of their internal politics, other scholars are more interested in the relations between their states, and some researchers also look at the international trade agreements. So we will also research among two or more countries the political, the military, and other diplomatic engagements, and those scholars are studying the international relations. In addition, they refer to the phenomenon of the internationalization when discussing the deepening of the relations between each states. Okay, internalization is not equivalent to a globalization, although globalization is a big part of that. As we have explained in the lesson one, globalization involves a multitude of relations and interactions which cannot be reduced to the relations between them. Nonetheless, it is important to research foreign relations as an aspect of the globalization, since the states or the governments are key drivers of the global processes. In this tutorial, we will explore, or in this class, we will explore one window internalization to view the globalization of the politics. Even though this course is about the modern world, we can't escape the history of how foreign politics are today. Okay, the attributes of today's global system is that we have four main attributes. First, there are sovereign and the self-governing countries or the states. Second, through diplomacy, certain countries communicate with one another. Third, there are international bodies that promote such exchanges, such as the UN or the United Nations. Fourthly, beyond merely organizing state meetings, international organizations do take on lives of their own. So the UN, for example, apart from being a meeting ground for the presidents and other heads of the state, they have also task-specific agents like the WHO or the World Health Organization and the International Labor Organization. So what are the regions of this system? So a good start is to unpack what you mean when you say a country or what academics call the nation state. So the definition isn't clear it is seems. Within a human history, the nation state is a fairly recent development and people have not always organized themselves as a nation. People in the various parts of the human history have identified primarily with groups as small as their village or their tribe in different regions of the world, and at other times they see themselves as representative of a broader political categories such as the Christianity or the entire Christian world. So the two non-interchangeable words make up on the nation state. Like for example here in the United Kingdom, They have different countries in there. Like, for example, here is the England have its own separate flag. The Wales and then the Northern Ireland is here, and then ito yung Scotland. But all in one, it is belongs to the United Kingdom. Near to our home is we have here the many observers assume that the Bangsamoro is a separate country. So we have ito yung Bangsamoro may separate flag siya. Ito yung green, white, and then red. And then the ARMM or the administrative region of the Muslim Mindanao. So they have also another flag. Also in the Korea, they have separate flag from the North Korea and the South Korea, and also in the China, mainland China is the China's Republic of China, and China's People's Republic of China, and then the mainland is the Taiwan. They also have Macau, China, also the Hong Kong. The difference between the nation state, so in layman's term, state refers to a nation and its leadership. That is the Philippines government. There are four characteristics in the country. First, it exercises control over a specific community, which is called its people. So ito yung pinakaunang role ng state, which is the people. Then the second is the how it governs a specific territory. Third is the government itself. The structure of the government crafts various, and then fourth is the sovereignty. So what is sovereignty? Here, it implies the jurisdiction within the out and the outside. Internally, by ignoring the state, no can function in a given national territory. This means that organizations such as the church, civil society, or corporations and other institutions must obey the laws of the state. Externally naman yung sa labas is autonomy means that the policies, the practice of a state are separate from all state interference. For example, Russia or China cannot enact laws for the Philippines and the vice versa. On the other hand, is we have here imagined society according to Benedict Anderson is limited because it doesn't go beyond a defined legal boundary. And because rights and obligations are primarily a privilege and concern of the people of the country. This feature stands in sharp contrast to other religious cultures imagined one can become a Catholic, for example, if he wants to. Diba? It depends on our beliefs. So if you are a Roman Catholic, so you remain to that religion. There are some cases that you convert to any other religion, like for example, born again Christian or Muslim or any other religions that you will have. An American also cannot easily go to the embassy of the Philippines and convert into a Philippine national. So this topic is related to what about the ABS-CBN issue, because yung president nila, di ba, si Gabi Lopez, has is an American citizen because he was born in the United States of America, and then late na siya dito nag-transfer sa Manila or dito sa Philippines. So isa din siya na it's not a valid reason na siya ang maging presidente sa ABS-CBN because of that scenario. Next is the interstate system. So the roots of today's idea of sovereignty can be traced back to the Westphalian Treaty. So ito yung pinakaunang interstate system. So we have the Treaty of Westphalia. Next is the concert system. So yun siya ang dalawang system. The Treaty of the Westphalia. So what happens on this Treaty of Westphalia? So after a bloody or a brutal religious war between the Catholics and the Protestants, so the Holy Roman Empire, so the Roman Italy in the Rome, Italy, also the countries in the Spain, the France, the Sweden, and the Dutch Republic or the Netherlands. So mostly on those following na mga countries in the Europe, they develop a framework or a system that would avert wars in the future by recognizing that the treaty signers exercise a complete control over their domestic affairs. So this Westphalian system, from the word Western countries from the Europe, they provided stability for the nations of the Europe until it faced its major challenge by Napoleon Bonaparte. So siya ang nag-lead sa Westphalian system. So Bonaparte believed in spreading the principles of the French Revolution. So there should be three: the liberty, equality or the freedom, and then the brotherhood or the fraternity. And thereby questioned the influence of the rulers as aristocracy and religion in the Europe. The next is another one. We're done with the Westphalian system. Okay, to see. Next is the Battle of the Waterloo in the 1815 between the Anglo and the Prussian forces, eventually defeated by Napoleon Bonaparte. So there is a concert of Europe. So ito yung siyang second na interstate system, the concert system. That was a collision of the great powers, the United Kingdom, the Austria, Russia, and the Prussia. So those are another West European countries. So they tried to restore the system of the monarchical or those monarchy government having a king and queen, hereditary and religious privileges of the period before the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars. So ito, nangyari dito sa concert of the Europe. So nag-combine yung mga great power from the UK, Austria, Russia, and the Prussia. And also we have here Clemens von Metternich. So ito siya was the architect of the concert of Europe. So siya ang nanunungkulan during that one. So it also influenced the authority of the concert lasted from 1815 to 1914, which is the beginning of the World War I. Okay, another one is the internationalism. It's a system between the Westphalia and the concert system that split into the world into an independent sovereign bodies. There have been attempts to circumvent the system since the creation of this interstate scheme. So many like Napoleon Bonaparte have questioned the structure explicitly by violating of the sovereignty of other states, while others have tried to envision other governing structures that go beyond. So because ito siya, di ba, it is very, di siya pwede na may sarili kang own mo na policy because every country has its different policies and rules, di ba? So bawal siya na, like for example, Pinoy ka, then gusto mo pumunta sa ibang bansa. Ano yung nakaugalian natin dito sa Pilipinas is iba na naman siya doon sa other countries. Okay? May iba man din silang laws and regulation. So dapat maging aware or maging educated tayo if we need to go to any other countries. And also, this internationalism has two specific categories: the liberal internationalism and the socialist internationalism. So, in the 18th century, a German philosopher, so ito siya, si Immanuel Kant, like Kant states in the global system to people living in a given territory. So according to him, without a form of the world government, he argued that the international system would be chaotic. So pag wala tayong form of world government, so parang wala ding point yung nangyayari sa ating bansa. Or wala siya ipulas, di ba? So because wala tayong susundin na mga laws and regulation. So there should be an establishment, continuously growing state, up or consisting of various nations in which will ultimately include nations of the world. So in short, can't imagine a form of global government. So there should be a whole set of global governments. So isa nga sa mga nag-iisa sa lahat ng bansa is ang UN or the United Nations. Okay, another one is here is British philosopher Jeremy Bentham, who coined the word international in 1780, advocated the creation of this international law to regulate the interstate relations. So Bentham believe that objective global legislators should aim to propose a legislation that would create the greatest happiness of all nations taken together. So there should be a creation of a legislation in every country. Like for example, in our country, the Philippines, so the legislatures are the president, the vice president, the secretaries, and then the whole set of the cabinet. So there should be a global government in any other nations. Okay, ito siya. Sino ito? It is Giuseppe Mazzini. So, 19th century Italian nationalist was the first thinker to reconcile the nationalism with the liberal internationalism. So, that was both an advocate of the integration of the separate many states of the Italy speaking and a significant critic of the Metternich method. So he believed that there should be a representative government without the rulers, queens, and hereditary succession, and advocated a free nation structure that would work with each other to establish an international order. Because without this representative governments, as what mentioned by Jeremy Bentham, so parang wala din siyang point, di ba, na wala tayong susundin. So that is why there should be a combination of the nationalism or in national government, their philosophies, and then the liberal internationalism. Another one is this American president, Woodrow Wilson, became the most prominent advocate for the creation of the League of Nations. So, ito si Woodrow Wilson forwarded the principle of the self-determination that believed that the world's nations had a right to free and a sovereign government, and he hoped that these free nations would become democracies. So there should be a democratic government among, or the freedom of every American people. Because only by being such would they be able to build a free system of the international relations based on the international law so that they would cooperate. Okay, we have here on the same year also, there is a creation of this Axis power headed by Hitler's Germany, Mussolini's Italy, and the hero Hito's Japan. So, andito yung Axis power. So, the Germany, so iba pa yung flag ng Germany dati. And then the Italy, and also the Japan. So, ito, diba, sir, white ng flag ng Japan din, may circle na color red sa center. We're on the side of the war, the ultra-nationalists who had an instinctive contempt of this internationalism. So this Axis power and this allied composes of the United States, to neutral sila dito, United Kingdom, the France, Holland, and the Belgium. So ito siya yung two sides ng power. So Axis powered, so J ang kanyang mnemonics, Japan, Italy, and then the Germany. So hindi na ito yung flag ngayon, di ba, ng Germany. And then for the allies, the FABs, France, America, United Kingdom, or the Great Britain, and then Soviet Union, or the Holland and the Belgium. So, and also in this part, the League gave birth some of more task-specific international organizations, such as the most popular WHO, or the World Health Organization, and the International Labor Organization. So, ito yun siyang pinaka-importanting organization na nabuo during these two sides. Okay, this league was the concretization of the concepts of the liberal internationalism. So according to Immanuel Kant, it emphasized the need to form a common international principle. So there should be a different international principles in every country, because with this part of policies is may susundin tayo ng mga laws and regulation. Next, for Mazzini, it enshrined the principles of cooperation and respect among the nation states. So there should be a cooperation among the people and respect towards each people, so that there could be a peace and harmony living in that situation. And then for Wilson, it is called for the democracy and the self-determination. So dapat there should be self uh, determination or the freedom towards it ourselves or democratic society or country. So ito siya, this part is medyo hindi na siya important. But another one is the Socialist International was a union of the European Socialist and the Labour parties established in the Paris, France, or the love, city of love, or the country of love. In 1889, although short-lived, the SI's achievements include the declaration of May 1 as the Labor Day and the establishment of the International Women's Day. So during that day, so May 1, Labor Day, and then the International Women's Day. So, araw ng manggagawa at araw ng man ng mga kababaihan. So most notably, it launched a successful 8-hour work campaign. And then another one is the Comintern or the Communist International. Yeah, Communist International, so short as Comintern, in which it was established by Russian revolutionary Vladimir Lenin. So he founded this um, organization in which it served as a central body for directing communist parties all over the world. This international was not only more radical than the Socialist International, it was also less democratic because it followed closely the top governance of the Bolsheviks. So ito siyang Communist International Comintern, first headed by the Russian President Vladimir Lenin, in which it is a party among communist government in the entire or all over the world. So ito siya si Vladimir Lenin, a socialist revolution across the world, one of the Russian president. Okay, that's a wrap for our first lesson for the part one for the week 4 to 5 na discussion. Okay, thank you guys for having me. Have a good day.